Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Bold Today Show. I'm your host, JD Houvener, and I'm here every week with you to answer patent-related questions. It's a live Q&A, so welcome any inventor, entrepreneur, someone in the startup world, maybe someone who's been at this for quite a while, and you still got questions about how to move your invention forward. This is the forum to do so. So come one, come all. I'm here every week, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific and noon on the East Coast. My name is JD Houvener, and I'm the owner here at Bold Patents Law Firm, a patent attorney and host of this show. I'm excited. We've got a special guest coming up on the show soon, and I'm going to be introducing him just a little bit. So he'll be talking about design, product design, and everything that goes with it, because that certainly goes hand in hand with patents. For those of you who are maybe watching after the fact, who are from our avo.com community, I'll be getting to those questions a little bit later. I've got our agenda. I'll post in the comments here. So after we get done with the introduction section, I will be offering a free screening session with our firm. One of our advisors will be able to get with you for no cost, as I said, for up to 20, 30 minutes to see if now is the right time for you to move forward with your invention. And so I'll provide that link for you right now. And for those of you out there that are wondering whether you should take action, I want to try to reward you for doing that. So I'm going to be offering you a copy of this book that I wrote myself just a few years ago, Bold Ideas, The Inventor's Guide to Patents. It's got all the basics, all the nuts and bolts on what is a patent, what's the difference between a patent and a trademark, copyright, trade secret, provisional, non-provisional, all those good stuff. So you get a free PDF download of this book for scheduling that screening session. So take advantage of that, click that link right there. And as we begin to get some more people signed in today, I want to also offer a disclaimer. So please do not share anything confidential in this session. This is it's a live public broadcast, and this is not an attorney-client consultation, okay? So I think without further ado, we're going to start bringing on our guest. His name is Mark Garcia, and he's the CEO of Rogue Innovation and Design. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me, JD.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming on the show, being willing to share with us what you're up to. So for those who may not know, I've been working with Mark for a couple of years now, and had the pleasure of our clients being able to work with you, Mark. And but I haven't had you on the show, and I'd love to be able to feature you and kind of hear more about your backstory to start. What kind of got you personally involved in design work? Tell us a little bit how you got inspired.
Well, formerly I was in IT for 8 years, and honestly, I got really, really bored because as I was growing up, all I did was just draw and imagine things, drawing spaceships, rockets, battery-powered cars back in the 80s, if you can imagine that. And finally, I got into a magazine. I don't know if they still have magazines, called Popular Mechanics, and I found something called Industrial Design. I found it, started taking some classes, and decided to just put my whole career away, go back to school, and get into it. After seeing that it was all about drawing, imagining, making models, making prototypes, inventing, I said I was in love, and the rest is history, as it were.
Awesome. Well, good. So what was it? I'm sure you're able to kind of bring a lot of those, IT, experiences, that engineering, systems thinking to what you do now. So it wasn't all for naught, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's problem solving. There's obviously professionalism and interfacing with people. That allowed me to have a competitive advantage in college versus the younger kids. So don't be afraid to go back to school is the message. But yes, absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, so Rogue Innovation. What your last name isn't Rogue, and I don't know if anybody's named Rogue there. So what made you think of that name in terms of branding your company?
Two reasons. Rogue is my youngest daughter. Her middle name, Isadora Rogue. And she's definitely rogue. She just does whatever she wants. She is so wild and free. To the behest of my wife, actually. So why did you name her Rogue? And the other thing is because the problem that I found in design is that especially being in it for 7 years, is that it's really expensive and not accessible to the general public. And I realized that to empower mass prosperity, I wanted to empower mass creativity, and the only way to do that is to go rogue and to bring prices down to make it completely accessible to the normal person.
That is so cool. I love it. I like that name a lot. I mean, obviously we've named our firm Bold, sort of thinking of our inventors, thinking of creators. No one's name is Bold here, right? So we're kind of non-traditional there too. And I think Rogue is even better. I mean, you've got to not only to be rogue, you not only have to be bold, but just be willing to really step out on your own and be different. So
absolutely.
Yeah, our paths are aligned there. So what I want to do is I want to showcase your website. You've got a really interesting, cool looking site. And so if anyone wants to find you there, I'll just put that in the URL, but it's rogue-id.com. And so I'll put that there in the comments, and then I will share my screen so we can kind of look at this together.
Great.
You've got a couple of really good messages we looked at just before the show. So here's the landing page, and you've got your product, your services here with your vision there in red below.
Right.
All right, so concept development, product, digital graphic, packaging, branding, engineering. So that's quite a bit. What would you say is sort of the first step for someone brand new to design? They got their first consumer product. They're excited to get working with you. Where do they start?
First of all, let's go with the concept development. As you know, working with inventors, there are a lot of smart people out there that are very creative. And typically when a person comes to us, something that they come up with is usually already thought of, or something very, very similar. And it's my job as a veteran inventor to create a point of difference for them through the same tools that you guys use, or similar tools like Google Patents and such. And that's why a partnership with you guys and working with you guys is so great, is I send them to you to confirm their idea that it is something that is a point of difference and something that they can actually own.
Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's important to be different, right?
Yes.
And make sure you got that competitive edge for sure. And, in terms of what we do, right, we conduct, the searching to sort of put ourselves in the shoes of the patent office. That's really what we do, right? Make sure we think as much ahead of time as possible. If you're trying to get a patent for this invention, how are you going to, get past the examiners? So we do that search first, search worldwide. But I'm happy to hear that you help inventors do like an initial search, right? Before dropping what could be a good chunk of money with a law firm like ours, do some initial diligence. And I'm proud to hear that. I'm happy to hear that you recommend that for your clients too.
Yes.
So that's great. Good stuff. So we could talk about a lot. I wanted just to have one more topic, if you don't mind,
Sure.
kind of as we go into this, we just talked a little about COVID, post-COVID, and working with clients that are, starting to get back into meeting face-to-face or working with, equipment. What are your sort of things you see as important as we go forward this year, as we get into the post-COVID phase of working on prototyping, developing?
What is important about getting into that stuff?
What are some things to think about? What's kind of what's in the future in terms of designing?
Well, so the future of design, I believe, is what we're doing here, is being able to be virtual, being able to talk to people, and honestly, one of the advantages of Rogue is the fact that we are virtual, a fully virtual agency, and if for those that aren't used to interfacing in this way, get used to it, because this is pretty much the new norm. Obviously, the breaking bread and having relationships with people in person is going to still have an important role in development and creating teams and relationships. But this virtual connection, whether you're on one side of the world or the other or next door, this is the way that work is being done.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even I think I fall into the trap of, oh gosh, we're going to be going back, to sort of getting into labs and manufacturing facilities and, maker spaces. But you're kind of alluding to the fact that you don't think that's necessarily going to be the case, or the future for a lot of it. And you're talking about embracing virtual relationships, virtual professionals to help you with remaining virtual, staying virtual.
Absolutely. I mean, it's probably going to be a hybrid as things start to open up. But as we see things dipping up and down with this pandemic and these variants, I think there's going to be an adoption of both, honestly, and working with my clients at the major companies, they're adopting a way of working distant, just like we are now, and coming together only when necessary. And I think that's probably the roadmap for the future, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, good deal. Well, Mark, I'm going to put you backstage for a little bit. We did get one comment in from Piyush Kanti Datta Gupta from India, just saying hello. Nice to hear from you. But anybody else has any questions for myself or for Mark, he'll be able to field them. We'll bring him back on in about 10 minutes. So hang on there, Mark.
Thanks, JD.
All right. Well, let's go to our avo.com questions. And again, please keep those live questions coming in. We'll prioritize those and get to you right away. I do have 3 questions I want to try to get to. These are all trademark related. I didn't get any patent questions this week. Of course, I love those. Actually, this one it was miscategorized. Okay, I'm going to put this question into the field so everyone can see it. Okay. Might cover up most of the screen here. Okay, I'll try to jump over. All right, can it be possible to make corrections after the patent application? 1 week before we established our company, we applied for a trademark patent. Okay, obviously there's some confusion here, for our company name and logo through a lawyer. The lawyer applied our logo correctly, but the name of our company incorrectly. After we realized that he was wrong, we informed him. He told us that he had corrected and applied again. When we checked from the USPTO, we saw that the change was still not made. The lawyer told us that when it is your turn, it was kind of a long one. Your application will be corrected by the officer. Our question is, can corrections be made after the application is made? By the way, we started a company a week after the patent application. Okay, so a few things here to note is that seems to be some confusion between patent and trademark. Okay, so a patent application is when you have an invention, and that's kind of what a lot of Mark and I were just talking about earlier. If you have something that is functionally new, right? Actually, it's a product, right? Water bottle, and it's got a novel function, right? Even if it's a small improvement, but like this little trigger, right? Spring-loaded trigger, and opens up an aperture for drinking water. Okay, that is your invention. That's a functional invention, and you should first get a patent search done, and then proceed with the patent application to get a utility patent, okay, because it's functional. There are also ways to get a patent for design. So let's just say the actual shape, right? This sort of cylindrical shape with the curvature here at the bottom, right? This kind of nicely shaped cup, for sort of ergonomics or for sitting properly. It's not to do with what it does, but just the way that it looks can be protected with a design patent, okay? So that's design patents. And then very separately, trademarks protect businesses, right? Products, goods, and services, and how customers perceive that branding, okay? So it's really nothing to do with an invention. So trademark, I believe, is really the root of what is being asked here in this question, is someone has submitted either through their attorney or maybe it was on their own, a logo, okay? And a logo, the actual technical term for a logo submission is a design mark, okay? A trademark submitted as a design. I mean, just like this one right above me, this pink, blue, and green bold, that is a design, right? The way the letters are shaped, the way that the colors are oriented, that's a design mark, okay? Separate from the word mark. It actually does spell B-O-L-D, right, in English letters, but the design mark actually it's separate from those letters, right? It's actually just triangles, an ellipse, 2 lines, and then another triangle. So that's the actual design mark. That's what's being represented by our firm's services, our legal services. So people get to know that mark by the nature of that design. So that is the design mark. It sounds like there was an issue with respect to your word mark. And so the attorney you're working with was likely trying to support you and file a separate word mark. And typically that's what's done, is you have a design mark for the logo and a word mark protecting the actual name of the service or the goods or products. So we have 2 in our firm. We have one covering bold IP and bold patents, the actual English characters. And that will prevent you from, someone else in the same class from having a sound alike, or, a similar or exactly spelled name that's offering the same goods or services. the bottom line question is, yes, changes can be made to trademark applications, but they must be, all have the same priority. So one of the key things about trademarks is it points back to your first use. And so if you use and provide a specimen saying, yep, we used the name Bold Patents to sell legal services on January 1st, if that was a misspelling and you wanted it to say Bold Patent, Bold Patents law firm, maybe with the word law firm, but you didn't actually use the word law firm in that initial sale, that specimen may need to change as well. So there's a lot of things to think about when you make modifications and changes after filing, but they can be done. So if you have further questions, please reach out. I'll provide my personal email and also my text-only line if you have questions for texting. Suma Panala's got a question here. Let's see. Hi, may I request a DM you both? I request confidentiality regarding my patent. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So there's my email address, Suma. So you can send to jd@boldip.com. And I did get permission from Mark to share his email. So I will do that. He is Mark at rogue-id. Excuse me. Yeah, rogue-id. That's right. .com. You can reach out to Mark separately there too to discuss your invention. Brian Dennis has got a question, and I'll feature you guys first here. Do patent lawyers like yourself ever partner with entrepreneurs? Businesses shares as payments for legal services. Some patent lawyers do, absolutely. And we have, up to this point, shied away from that. Sort of a policy standpoint, I believe pretty firmly in walking alongside our inventors, but not necessarily walking directly with and sharing the same financial pockets. I feel like it's a little difficult and ethically it stretches too much for my and our firm's personal interests. We want to make sure that we can give you the truth, the full truth, and nothing but the truth, even when it's really bad news. And we don't want what we say to be in any way inhibited by, our thought about our pocketbook, right? You want to be fee for service. You provide, money in exchange for our 100% honest, ethical legal services. So I wouldn't want any ethical dilemmas. So we've avoided that. And that's one of the main reasons why attorneys can get tripped up if they decide to partner with clients. But it has been done. It certainly is there are ways to do it ethically. It's just our firm in particular has not decided to do that. And thanks for that question. All right, let's jump in. We've got I think time for one more trademark question. That first one was a really good one. Let me go back to this avo.com. Okay, this one is out of Los Angeles. Let's see here. Okay, like I said, I don't pre-screen these, so I have to read them myself while we look at them. All right, here we go. So my favorite candle was discontinued. Can I replicate the fragrance and sell it as my own candle? Oh my gosh, this is gonna be good. It's like a law school exam. Okay, my all-time favorite Christmas candle has recently been discontinued. The brand that made them actually went bankrupt, okay? And then later relaunched with all new products. I have my own candle brand, and I would love to sell the fragrance to my customers. Is it legal for me to do that? Could I rename the candle and sell it as my own fragrance? Or would I need to indicate that the candle was a copy? This is really, really fun question. Okay, a couple layers here. So you've got your own candle company, candle brand. So you're a competitor, okay. And so you're talking about a competitor's candle, and it sounds like you're not necessarily, attached to the shape or the type of wax. It's the smell of the candle is what you would like to replicate. And there are ways to get protection, okay, over the smell. And I have not done that. I don't have very much experience with that, but there are ways to protect smells, okay, through trademark protection. Okay, it's tricky. It's very hard. You've got to be able to secure, a pretty distinct. You have to be able to show a specimen that provides evidence that customers associate a certain smell with your products and your products alone. I highly doubt that this other company, this competitor of yours, has gone to that extent. But I would urge you to hire a law firm to explore that, to see if there are any rights protecting that smell. And so if there are no rights that protect that smell for their candle, I would assume that you as a candle maker know how to sort of dissect the chemicals and are able to reproduce the fragrance. So I assume that aspect, assuming there's no rights held by that competitor, you should be able to reproduce that candle with a similar fragrance. Pull that question up to see if there's anything else there. The fact that they went bankrupt and relaunched, I think that's irrelevant. The only issue there is that what can happen with trademarks is if a company uses a mark, we have bold patents. Let's say we went bankrupt and we stopped using that mark for a period of time. Okay, the mark can go abandoned, right? You abandon the business, you're no longer in operations, so therefore you have no ability to enforce that against any competitors. So if during that time someone else had launched another candle brand, maybe you did, and started selling that same fragrance, it's possible that they could have lost their trademark rights to that smell as well. So anyway, a little out of my league on that. It's really fun. I'd want to dig in and research it a little bit more before giving you some more concrete answers. But I think it's very cool. All right, great questions. Sorry, I kind of stumbled with that one, but I just really like that question. I'm going to bring Mark back on. Mark, hey, how you doing?
Good.
All right. Any thoughts on some of those questions there?
I love it. It's just the law, the patenting law is so interesting and intriguing.
Yeah. I know it is. It's wild. I'm honestly looking it up right now. I know yeah, here we go. Okay. Yeah, trademarks. Yeah. Okay, I was not wrong. I had to Google it. So you can trademark smells, colors, motions, scents, flavors. So okay, I wasn't that far off. But yeah, so good. You need to connect some research, see if that competitor has that smell. And yeah, one thing I would also mention, if there was a specific design of the candle, you'd want to make sure that was not you didn't rip that off, right? Even if it's you make sure you have a different design, and if the actual makeup of the materials is protected under composition of matter, that could also be at issue too. So there's a lot going on there, a few different layers. So have you ever helped anyone design the candles, Mark?
No, but if anyone can replicate champagne toast, my wife would be totally on board, and you'd have
that's the fragrance, champagne toast.
Yeah, I think it's called champagne toast. Yeah, it went wild, and really my wife just so trending.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to look that up. Cool, Mark. Well, thank you for having fun with me. Thanks for being on the show. We'll wrap up. Anything you want to say to wrap things up before we sign out?
Well, I believe everyone has innate creativity, and not everyone has the exposure to it. But hopefully what you're doing, what I'm doing is will empower people to be more creative and actually earn a living and prosperity through it. So go bold, be rogue, and create, because I believe that is what the true nature of humanity is.
Oh, that is beautiful, Mark. My gosh. All right, man. Well, I can't say anything else. Everyone have a wonderful day. We'll be back next week and probably have Mark back in future weeks. Thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it. Go big, go bold, everybody.
Yes.